Welcome to Oregon Hot Rod.
Welcome to the Oregon Hot Rod Experience, where we're going to share information with you. We're going to show you our successes and our failures, our mistakes and our solutions. We'll go on adventures. We're going to build cars. We'll do shop projects, and we'll do a whole bunch more. But most of all, we're going to entertain you with reality and stupidity. So subscribe now and continue to watch the Oregon Hot Rod Experience.
Smash that like button and subscribe now.
Yeah, subscribe now.
Okay, folks, so after a little bit of contemplating on this here bead roller deal, I decided I'm going to look at this motor again and do some more investigating, because the setup with the garage door opener is so good, because you've got the chain, you've got the sprocket off the motor already done, there's a lot of the parts here that's already there, done. You even have an adjuster at the end of it to where you can even adjust your cable. So I decided I'm going to take another look at it. As it turns out, the motor is a real low speed motor. It's only 1500 RPM, which is that's great, because it's hard to find a 1/2 horsepower motor that's only 1500 RPM. Most motors are minimum 1725. So, you know, I'm starting out with a pretty good low speed motor. Although it's not a variable speed motors are really hard to get a hold of, and if you're just a backyard mechanic like myself, pretty much, well, not really a backyard mechanic, but just a normal Joe, you don't have a lot of experience with doing wiring and putting together these little resistor things and all this other stuff to put together what actually works for a variable speed motor. So that's why you see a lot of the guys using the 1/2 inch drill motors and stuff like that, and adapting them to it, because it's pretty easy switch over to get a variable speed. But in rethinking this, I decided, well, one speed will work if I put it at the right speed to where I can turn it on and turn it off and control it in that sense. So I'm going to go ahead and try this. If this doesn't work the way I expect it to, then I have one other option, and I actually have a commercial sewing machine engine, which or motor, which has a clutch setup on it. So when you give it, it's kind of like a centrifugal clutch. You put more pressure on it, and it speeds up, and you can control your speed there. Those kind of motors are really kind of they don't have as much control as a real variable speed motor is. So I'm going to try this first, because everything here is going to be really easy to adapt over, and give it a shot and see if it might work. So I've already taken off the adjuster at the end. So the pieces I want to keep is this adjuster here that the adjustment wheel was on at the end of the motor, and then I pulled off all the excess garbage off of it that I didn't need, and I'm going to pull off the shaft here, and what I'll wind up doing with this is shorten it down to a reasonable length, and then I can put the adjuster on it with I'll find a bicycle sprocket to put on the other end, on the bead roller end, and adapt that to it, and then figure out a way to bolt her on and go from there. So my next move is to remove the shaft here, give it a try. Probably next time I get back with you, I'm going to be having this on the bead roller and giving her a shot and letting you know how it works. So anyway, okay folks, so back at it again today. I'm going to go through a few things here. I've got the my parts together here. I'm going to use this. I've got the motor all put together here. I've got it all, got the cover on it. Got some pieces setting over here to be able to start piecing it back together. We're going to use this old engine stand here to put up the bead roller on. Got the bead roller all set up over here. I got it torn down. Now there's one piece here that I found that one gentleman did on the bead roller that I thought was a good deal. And that was to put in a spring right here. What it did is you drill through all the way through to the bottom down here, drill all the way down into the bolt, tap this here for threads so that you can screw it down. It'll lock on to this other bolt here that comes in the other side. You drill through here so this here can move back, the bolt can move back and forth here. Then you put a spring on top here. What that does is that this allows this piece here to pull back up your roller to pull back up automatically when you release your clamp here. A lot of these guys are doing all sorts of stuff. They put a spring on here and pull it up, and it's just janky ass. Excuse my language, but that's just kind of the way I look at it. You know, there's always a better way to do stuff, you know, and so part of doing stuff is looking at it realistically and seeing what really works the best. And with YouTube nowadays, you can do all sorts of searches and you'll find people that have good ideas here, bad ideas. You find those really good ideas and you start putting them together. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is take the best ideas that I found and put them to use. So anyway, I'm going to go down into the other shop. I'm going to do some finish drilling this out, and I'll be back with you in a bit. Okay, so we got the spring and bolt put into the bead roller here. So turns out 3-inch bolt with a 1 3/4 inch spring, 5/16 1 3/4 inch spring. Works pretty darn good. You can see everything is moving really nice now. This bolt goes all the way through into the threads on the bolt here. Locks them down. So the bolt's done. And then it just slides back and forth. It's a little bit too tight there. There we go. Now one of the things you want to remember when doing this here, when you're drilling through down into this block here, you want to make sure that you have everything squared up, level, and you bring everything up here. You bring this bolt up tight. Tighten her down, bring this up as tight as it'll go. Make sure everything is exactly square. Then you drill down through both pieces and get your guide hole going in here pretty deep so that you've got something to line up with. Because if you just go doing it freehand, you're going to screw it up. So don't screw it up. Do it the right way. drill all the way through with both of them with your guide hole. I used like I think it was maybe a 3/16 guide hole to get started with, and drilled all the way through. So now I'm ready to start working on this. Now some of these guys go and make this here piece of slider. I'm not really too interested in doing that. It isn't that big a deal to me right now. I figure anything that I got to do, I can do with washers and spacers at this point. As you know, I've been working on the rat rod truck here, and I'm getting ready. I'm going to build this bottom piece that goes between the cab and the front end up there, just underneath the hood. So that'll be my project after I get the bead roller all put together to get this thing all done up. So anyway, next part is kind of putting everything back together, figure out how I'm going to mount this to the engine stand. I'm probably going to clip off the top piece there, do some reinforcing, figure out how to put this motor on, and get this bead roller working. So I forgot to mention here, this here bolt is your adjuster for the roller, and once you put in this bolt here, this becomes too short and it kind of becomes a pain in the ass. So my intentions is to put an extension on this bolt and then put a crank handle up top here so I can crank it down and crank it back. So that'll be once I figure out what parts I've got here to be able to do that, that's where I'm going next. Okay, so I gathered up my parts. I brought in a couple of pieces that I had laying around. I did a deal here, it had a couple holes in it. I thought, maybe that might work. Got a piece of angle iron here. I thought, maybe that might work. Another couple pieces and stuff, but what I essentially settled on was this here little piece of angle iron here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to the bead roller here. I'll drill a hole here. There's holes already in the bead roller. I just cleaned up the holes. I need to drill another one back here. So I'll drill and tap another hole back here. Then I can bolt this on without having to weld it or anything else. That way I can detach it if I want later or whatever. Then this will get welded over here to the engine stand, and I'll just weld this onto here, and then the bead roller will sit over onto here. So next move is get down to the other shop, do some drillings, and start putting this baby all together. Okay, so one of the main things you want to do is make sure you get everything prepped out right. If you're going to weld, you want clean surfaces, so I'm welding it to this here deal, so for the engine stand. So I want to make sure my surfaces are clean, so when I go to put this on, I don't get a bad weld. So I'm just going to get this cleaned up and get it ready for to weld on. Besides getting this thing ready to weld up, I'm also getting it prepped up to paint later on. So, you know, making sure you got a nice clean surface to paint to, and prime and stuff is important as well. All right, ready. Let's get to doing some welding. this welded up here. One thing you might want to notice is this little doodad down here. This is just a magnet. A very important thing when you're trying to do some fabrication work to have one of those available, or about a dozen of them actually, because they help hold things in place rather than trying to hold on to it yourself and then dropping it, misaligning it, doing whatever. So get yourself some of those. They're real cheap at Harbor Freight, and they save a hell of a lot of work. That should do it. Now, I don't profess to be a good welder. As a matter of fact, I'm a pretty crappy one, but if I can get enough weld on there, it'll hold. So hopefully you're a better welder than me. Well, like I said, I'm not a damn good welder, but the next best thing to being a bad welder is having a good grinder. I'm supposed to be wearing safety glasses here, but I'm a glutton for punishment. Go, roughed out. We'll take the die grinder to her and smooth her out, make her look all pretty again. Get some paint on it, mount this damn thing on here. It worked. Okay, here we go, folks. Mounted up onto the engine stand, bolted up temporarily so that we can get an idea of how everything's gonna work here. Next phase is getting this motor mounted to the stand, figuring out how I'm going to do that, and then from there getting my bicycle chain, getting sprockets and stuff. Fortunately, the garage door has a opener has a sprocket on it, but I don't have a sprocket for the upper part. My plan is to take the handle from the bead roller that comes with it, take this handle and then probably chop this off here and just use this portion here, drill it and tap it to put my sprocket on, and put it on that way. We'll see once I get the sprocket and stuff. And then once I'm done with that, then I possibly use the other portion here with the handle on it to make my adjuster for the rollers right in here, and I can put this up on here so that I can spin this around here easily. So that's my plan. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to take a break right now and get something to eat and have a cup of coffee, get warmed up, and get back to this a little bit later. So see you later.
Say hi.
Say hi, everybody.
Say hi,
Hi.
everybody. Say
Anyway, keep watching. Learn a couple of things. Watch us tear some shit up, or stuff up, excuse me. And,
smash that like button and subscribe now.
yeah, subscribe now.
LikeOregonHotRod.com.
And for years,
Bitch.
you know what had happened because they still